In this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 best used electric vehicles on the market right now as we are entering 2025. Now, by which I mean best value. I mean one of those cars where you think, it's not for me, but it then gets cheap enough to think, well, I can't really argue with that price. Or a car that's just too expensive new, but now on the used market, thanks to Mr. Depreciation, is an option. So this is the top 10 in no particular order, so it's not 1 to 10 or 10 to 1, it's just 10 really good used EVs. I was planning on doing this outside, but it's that cold, my hands are freezing and a storm's on its way, so I think I'll carry on inside. Now, a case in point of exactly what I mean is the car I was just stood next to, the Tesla Model S 75D 2018 that cost me £11,500. It's got a lot of miles on it and it's all in the channel if you want to know more, but essentially I wouldn't have paid £70,000 for that new, but on the used market it got my attention. So that's essentially what I'm looking at here. I've got 10 EVs and a few honourable mentions at the end, starting again in no particular order. This is the Cupra Born. This is a V2, so that's the mid-spec. It costs just £19,000 for a 23 reg, so that's roughly 18 months old, and it's done 40,000 miles. It's better than the ID3 that it essentially shares its underpinnings with. It looks better, it drives better, its interior's better, and I think for an 18-month-old car for 19 grand, they're starting to enter that realm of, I do like them, so maybe it's an option. Next is a little hot hatch. There's very, very few of these on the EV market, and this one is the Abbath 500 electric, £22,390. It's a 23 reg, so again 18-month-old roughly, and it's only done 5,000 miles. It's not the cheapest, but for the rarity of a hot hatch, for what it looks like, it is really cool. I do like it. And it's starting to get into the realms of affordability, given the fact that they were asking for the mid to high 30s from new. Now we have a car which I nearly didn't include, but again, once it gets cheap enough, you think, well, it's a car. This one's only a 23 reg as well. It's only done 15,000 miles and it only costs £13,000. It is the not brilliantly named Great Wall Motors Funky Aura Cat. It's underneath, sharing a lot of its underpinnings with the BMW Mini Electric. It's essentially made by the same people on behalf of BMW. So it's not a bad car. It looks quite cute. I think a lot of people like the looks of it from what they're telling me. And it's all right, you know, it's all right. But for an 18-month-old full electric vehicle for 13 grand, it's got to be worth a look. Something a bit bigger now, a family car, a car that looks really cool, and there's quite a lot of them, so again that drives the price down, is the Hyundai Ionic 5. This, again, large family car, decent solid interior, 5-year warranty is standard on the car, 8 on the battery, £19,000 for this one, which is a 21 reg with 47,000 miles on it, and this is the bigger battery version as well. So for a 70 odd kilowatt hour large family EV that looks cool, I don't think that's bad at all. 19 grand. These were again 35, 40 grand when new, depending on the spec, or higher. The 5-year warranty means that until March-ish 2026 for this particular car anyway, it's under full warranty. The whole car's under warranty with Hyundai, and again the batteries are for longer. A little bit of a semi-wild card on this one. It's often overlooked because of its more popular and slightly more practical sibling, the Kia Niro. This is the Kia Soul. There's not that many around, but again, I think they get forgotten, so they don't really sell very quickly, and that seems to drive the price down a little bit. So this is a 21 reg. It's a 49,000 miler, and it's only costing £14,100. This is for the 64 kilowatt hour battery version. It will do 250 miles in the real world. Around town, over 300. It looks, I think, pretty cool from the front, not so much from the rear. Again, it doesn't quite have the practicality, the boot of the Niro, but if you don't quite need that, if there's only 2 of you rather than a full family, this again, for the range it offers, the first edition that this is, it's fully loaded, it's got an incredible stereo, It looks quite cool, I think. And don't forget Kia's 7-year warranty, which means this 2021 reg car will go to 2028, up to 100,000 miles anyway, and the whole car's covered under warranty. I should point out though that, as I understand it, Kia require a full main dealer service history. So make sure if you're looking at one, it's got that. Whilst we're doing good value EVs, how can we forget the MG4? This is the SE, the standard range one, so the 51 kilowatt hour version. And it's a 23 reg, so again, only 18 months-ish old. It's only done 15,000 miles, and it costs £14,275. Now the MG4 drives really well. It's well balanced, the interior is a bit bland for me, there's better cars out there, but at this price for an 18-month-old, relatively family-sized car, you know, it's not big, but it's big enough. It's a lot of car for the money. You also get 7 years warranty with MG, of course. Although from experience, from people I know that own an MG, it's not the best service in the world. There are issues, but for less, well, just over 14 grand, again, not bad value at all. A car that a lot of people like for its looks first, and then the capabilities second. It's the Pulstar 2. So this one's the dual motor long range version. So the larger battery version with 2 motors, so it's quick, and it costs just over £20,000, £20,365. It's a 21 reg, so we're coming up to 4 years old by the time we get to next year, and it's done 50,000 miles. Again, for the battery size, for the size of car, for the speed, for the looks, for just over 20 grand, I'll say it again, a lot of car for the money. I personally prefer a Tesla option, but ultimately this for me is another good alternative, and it does look quite cool. For those that need a lot of boot space, a big SUV type car, I thought I'd include this for that main reason. It's the Scor Enyaq. This is the 60 kilowatt hour version, 21 reg, and it's done 40,000 miles, and it costs £17,500, which again, for what you're getting, I think that's a lot of car for the money. It's an ID4, Volkswagen ID4 underneath, only for me, better looking, much better interior, and well, the rest is essentially the same. So I would go for that over the ID4, and for this price, definitely. Huge boot, huge amount of interior space, and again, if you need that family sort of you know, space inside and the boot and, you know, dogs or whatever, it's a good option. Now, of course, you can't have a top 10 without mentioning, of course, a Tesla in EV world. And I specifically go for the Model 3 long range on this one. I mean, one, there's loads of them, so that drives the price down. A lot were sold, which is good for the used market if you're buying anyway. Specifically, the long range. The reason I've gone for this is for 2 reasons. One, it's quicker, 4-wheel drive, and you get a bigger battery and therefore a bigger range. And 2, the long range comes with 125,000 miles warranty on the battery and the motors, whereas the standard range is 100,000 miles. So for the 2 or 3 grand extra they seem to command, that extra premium, I think it's worth that extra. So I'm not saying the standard range isn't good value, it's just I think you get a little better out of the long range than the standard range when you factor in the warranty and the speed and the battery and so forth. I found a 70 reg, so it's 6 months newer than mine, just to put it into context. So that's 2020, the end of 2020. It's done 54,000 miles. So in terms of battery warranty, you've got just under, well, you got just over 70,000 miles left. £18,290. The charge network. That alone in EV world is worth a lot. And finally, before we get to the honourable mentions, this is one that, again, there's a lot of them on the market, so that drives the price down. It's the Volkswagen ID3. So this is obviously the pre-facelift. I found a 2021 reg car. So we're coming up to, what, 3.5 to 4 years old. It's done 45,000 miles, and it costs just over £13,000. Don't get me wrong, it's the best spec. It's not the largest battery version, but it's enough for the majority of people kind of daily commuting and driving around. You know, it's enough as an average EV. And for just over 13 grand for essentially something that's the size of a Golf, but it's got the interior space of a Passat, so it's practical as well. Again, that's very good value. A few honourable mentions now. To top off the 10, we've got another 3, and I'll start with an expensive car, the Porsche Taycan. This is something that could cost like 70, 80 grand or well over 110, 120,000 pounds or even more, depending on how high you go on the spec. I've managed to find a 2020 reg. This is the larger 93 kilowatt hour battery version. It's done 40,000 miles and it's costing 42,500 pounds. For a Porsche Taycan, I mean, it drives like a Porsche, even though it's electric. It's a big car. It's not the most efficient, but the interior is beautiful. It's really well built. The driving position is perfect. And I love it. And I know 42.5 for well, coming up to 5-year-old cars, a lot of money. But when you consider that that particular one's probably close to, if not well past, £100,000. Next, a couple on the cheaper side. One that we own and love to this day. We've had it, I think, about coming up to 18 months. The Seat Me Electric. £8,700 for this. 2021 reg, which is when they stopped making them. It's only done 21,000 miles and it's 8.7. In summer, that is doing over 200 miles out of that 30 odd kilowatt hour battery. It's immensely efficient. It's fun to drive. It's a doddle to park. My wife loves it and prefers it to any other car we've ever owned in terms of driving. It's just got great visibility. It's old school. You've got a gear lever, even though it's electric, you put it into drive. You can change the regen just by moving the gear stick like a DSG box, and it's just not pretentious in any way. In a similar sort of vein, the Renault Zoe. This is the 50 kilowatt hour Zoe. None of these have a battery release. So the facelift Zoe that looks like this one, none have a battery release. That often puts people off, even though sometimes it can be a good thing. But I found this with the rapid charging option at 8,700 as well. So it's the same as the Seat Me in terms of the price and in terms of this particular one I found. But this will do probably another 40, 50 miles more than that. It's a little bit bigger, it's got a bigger boot. And, well, again, for 8,700 for a 2020 reg that's done 37,000 miles, it's very good value. And that's the list. I am done. So hopefully that has helped give you an idea of what's out there. There's quite a few cars I didn't mention. No doubt you'll be telling me in the comment section, what about this, what about this? So there's a lot that are also what I would consider very good cars, but maybe you get what you're paying for. So they're not great value, they're just good value. You know, the Citroen EC4, that nearly made the list, or the honourable mentions, because for 11 grand, you can get a 4-year-old one, 3-year-old one, and it's a great car, it's comfortable, but that's about what I would say it's worth. They've been at that value for a while, there's quite a few of them, so that's what I mean by some cars don't make this cut. Now, if you want videos on Sunday instead of Friday, please become a member. It's 99p a month. All you have to do is click the join button and you get members only videos as well, occasional live chats that I might bring back. Let me know if that's worth it for you as a member. And, well, it supports the channel. You don't have to do that. Times are tight, so just by clicking subscribe or typing in a comment or something like that, that would be perfect. So hopefully, again, that was interesting and it made sense, and that inspired you to look at the used market, because the new cars, for me, it's the reason I'm not buying one. Visitor depreciation is a big deal right now, and that's good for buying, not good for selling, of course. So I'm very much looking at the used market as ooh, maybe I could go for that now. Like the Taycan. I could never afford that new, not even close. But on the used market, probably still can't, but it's tempting for a very expensive premium brand, isn't it? So again, thanks for watching. See you soon. Have a good Christmas. Or rather, by the time this goes out, it's probably past Christmas. Have a good New Year. I haven't made a plan of what video's going out when, because I'm a professional.